Hello, everyone. We're just going to give a few seconds for people to tune in, and then we're going to get started with flipping the script. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Amelia Acosta Powell, and I serve as the Associate Artistic Director at the Repertory Theater of St. Louis. It is my great pleasure tonight to be here with Adena Varner, who has been recently appointed as the Repertory Theater of St. Louis's Director of Learning and Community Engagement. Hi, Adena.
Hey, Amelia.
I'm so excited to be talking with you tonight. I'm so lucky as to already have gotten to know you a little bit, and I just can't wait to introduce you to the rest of the Rep family because you're super, super awesome. You moved here a few weeks ago from Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm excited to have you in St. Louis. I'm excited to have you at the Rep. So I just wanted to start off asking if you would introduce yourself. Tell us about your journey and how you ended up here at the Rep.
Thank you so much. And I'm so excited to be in community with you too this evening. You two are awesome, sis. So thank you for hosting. I think it's been about 50 days that I've been in St. Louis. It's so new, it's so exciting. I'm from a small town, Baltimore, Maryland. I'm an East Coast girl. That's where I was born and raised and have lived my entire life. And I'm really looking forward to all of the wonderful, wonderful folks and culture and opportunities here in St. Louis. I would say that my journey to St. Louis, my goodness, it started when I was probably, my mother would say when I was 2 years old. She noticed that I used to like to sing, and I would sing all around the house. I don't come from a family of singers, so I think she thought I was pretty weird and didn't know what to do with me. But I've always had this inclination toward the arts. And from middle school and high school, I always found every opportunity that I could find to dance, to sing, to storytell, to be in a play. I would absolutely make it happen. I went to school in Maryland too. I went to undergrad at University of Maryland out in College Park, not too far from DC, and studied theater there. And then when I finished undergrad, I kind of had a normal everyday life. I worked for local government, which in retrospect, I actually really appreciate. Even though I grew up in the city, working for the government really helps you understand some of the like political, social dynamics that you just take for granted, and it's just your reality, but you really get to understand some things. And I did that for about 5 years before I was like, I'm done with this. It's time to go back to what I love to do, and decided to enroll in my master's program at the Catholic University, which is also in DC. So I am truly a DMV girl. Did much more work in that area. And while I was in graduate school, it was interesting. I was studying theater education, but life offered me an opportunity to work at my church's childcare center. And I was administrator there while I was also writing and directing my own work. And so I had this almost like this practicum built into my lifestyle. So the things that I was learning in class in theater education, I was able to use either with the children at the daycare or in community when I was working on my own pieces. And so it was really interesting how that life path started to kind of become very, very clear. And then I started, while I was still in school, I was looking for other things to kind of set my hands to. And Baltimore Center Stage was hiring, and I became the education coordinator. And I was in that position for about a year, and then the director of education. And then I became the director of learning and social accountability. So my time at Baltimore was very full, very rich, learned a lot. And I was able to do some really interesting and impactful work that really touched on learning programs for young children, and then community engagement, family engagement, and how we show up as a good neighbor, how our institutions show up as a good neighbor in our communities. And I think that all of that is what led me to St. Louis. It's been an interesting journey, especially over the past few years of finding this intersectionality between community and learning and this sense of accountability that we have as these arts institutions and cultural institutions to our communities to be a resource. That's what led me here.
I love that. And it does not surprise me that we are in so much alignment, because I'm also a DMV person, having come on a few more geographical stops on the journey, but have spent the majority of my adult life in Washington, D.C., and it's also where I was born. So that connection, plus I also worked for the government before I worked in the arts.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it wasn't my favorite job I've had. But I think that's so interesting because of those points of connection you're drawing in terms of civic service. I think our government organizations are striving to be of civic service. We hope.
Yeah.
And I know that the arts organizations that you and I have been working with are certainly striving for that. So I actually think that is totally part of the path, and shapes our thinking now in an arts organization. So I love that.
Agree.
You said that your last title at Baltimore Center Stage was Director of Learning and Social Accountability. Is that what you said?
That is, yep. It's a new title, but
yes. And your title here at the Rep is Director of Learning and Community Engagement. So can you tell us a little bit about that? What does learning encompass, first of all, and then we'll move into the community engagement piece.
That's so interesting. You know, I've been a director of education. My predecessor here in St. Louis, who was the director of education for, I believe, over 20 years, she held this seat. And most folks across the country who are in this position are directors of education. And we started to shift away from education. And the more I hear it, the more it really resonates with me. Education is interesting because it is like, to me, socially, we're conditioned to believe that education has this start and end, right? Like you go to school for a designated period of time, it does end. Even though it doesn't feel like it while you're in it, there is a graduation, there is a completion. And for learning should never end. It should be lifelong. We should be receptive to acquiring information and experiences and knowledge all around us, because that is how we learn. It can be a story that grandma told you. It could be an article. It could be a book. It could be a TikTok. It could be anything. And we're gathering so much information. And I think that that's so important, because as we gather it, that's the learning. But what we do with it when we have it, that's the community engagement. So it's getting it, but not just holding it. It's being able to share it and be a resource and figure out the ways to shape it so that it's meaningful in relationship building and serving the community.
Absolutely. I love that kind of chronological connection you're drawing between learning and community engagement. Yeah. What does that look like for you in terms of a director of learning and community engagement of an arts organization, of a theater? How do learning and community engagement tie into the arts?
That is so important. Typically, you'll find some of the larger theaters, they've got a ton of programs. And I think that part of my responsibility, again, I've been here for 50 days, so I'm still evolving and learning. But I think part of my responsibility is to help us reimagine what programming looks like beyond the stage. and to the things that we fell in love with about theater. Maybe maybe it was the lights, maybe it was the costume, maybe it was just an opportunity to stand in front of hundreds of folks and say something. But the way that I see art is that artists, oh, this is one of the things I say all the time, but artists make amazing humans, right? Artists make the best people. There's some skills and some tools that we have as artists that really help shape our humanity. And we don't even know that it's happening when you're like in rehearsals and you have to collaborate and listen to other people that are sitting across the table. And you've got to come up with some way to resolve a conflict or problem solve. And you've got to use deductive reasoning and all of these different skills that you don't even realize you're activating. And then you pull back from it and say, oh, wow, this isn't just about performance. This is about humanity and being a good neighbor. And there's a lot of those types of skills and resources that I believe we can share as a theater, because we've gone through the training. We know how to share it. We know how to give in that way. And I think we're incredibly generous. I think that's just the nature of the artist. And to give and to share some of those tools in some really creative and innovative ways, whether it's a residency in a school or virtually. That's the world that we live in now. Or it's a camp or a drama club or a civic conversation or an artist series where artists come together and have conversation. Whatever we can hold so that we can be again one of those agents of conversation and change and learning. I think that's one of the roles that we want to play, not just in the region, but I think nationally.
Absolutely. Yeah, you named that you're still learning and evolving this position at the rep and what you might do with it. I'm curious because you've come into a new position at a kind of wild time. You said that you've been here for 50 days. I love that we're having this milestone of 50 days. And on top of that, obviously, we're in the midst of a global pandemic. That's why, as you said, the ways that we're learning and engaging right now are virtual. And on top of that, as many people watching might know, and as of course you know, the rep is 1 year, a little over 1 year into new artistic leadership with Hannah S. Sharif in the seat of the Augustin Family Artistic Director. And you worked with Hannah at Baltimore Center Stage as well. So I'm curious, given all that is going on, given all of the opportunity that change can bring to an organization and to an individual, in a new position in a new city at a theater with lots of new elements, what are you looking forward to at the rep?
Wow. I would say a couple things. One is I think that we are poised to do some really, really interesting work in the condition of the world. Yes, it's so many pandemics going on at the same time. And we recently launched a reading of Black Like Me. And in that reading, I was sharing with some colleagues that it was probably one of the most amazing virtual experiences that I've had in the past 6 months or so. And I think that those types of really engaging conversations on the heels of performance. The industry is not foreign to talkbacks and things like that, but the way that we were able to frame it and the way that we were able to have such different ranges of experiences and ages and it was just a beautiful collection of folks in different affinity groups and really feeling comfortable with sharing ideas and thoughts and their own processes. That's something that I'm not used to seeing. And it was really liberating to see people, white people, Black people, young people, old people, all coming together to experience this in their way and really seeking genuine understanding. I think that was really lovely for me. And I think that's the type of work that I know Hannah is committed to doing, and that I share in that same passion and that same desire. And I see it all around us in the city of St. Louis. This is like a hub of change. The arts culture is very rich. I'm learning that music is extremely important here. Dance is like, I've never been to a city where dance was so prominent. And so the way that we express ourselves and the way that we create and shape art here is very, very different. And also, I think that I'm looking forward to very practically being able to do more for our children and amplify their voices, and cultivate a very new audience for the rep. Um, One of the things that I love, there's a story. I'm going to give you an anecdote, but one of the things,
Ooh, we love an anecdote.
one of the things that, one memory that I have from Baltimore that I hope I never forget, one of my drama club students, who was with us for 2 years. He was a high school sophomore when he came to us. Actually, he was a high school junior when he came to us. He was with us that year in the after school drama club program. He was with us his senior year. He was one of my favorites. Teachers aren't supposed to have favorites, but he was one of my favorites. Had such a dear love for him. And he graduated, went off to college. He wasn't far from the theater. He went to Peabody. And I will never forget, I was in the theater one day having a meeting, and he walks in with some friends. And I saw he had like a new haircut. You know, he's like a young adult now, so he's got the fancy look. And so he comes and he gives me a hug, and I talked to him, and I said, "So what are you doing?" And he said, "Well, I just wanted to show some of my friends around, and we're getting a Go Pass." And the Go Pass was equivalent to our Flex Pass, right? It was for younger folks. And it was just one of those moments when I said to myself, this is what I want to be connected to. The drama club program was a free program. It was something that he never had to pay for, but it made such an impact in his life that not only was he coming to be a subscriber, but he was bringing friends to be a subscriber. And when we think about the legacy of what we love, the legacy of this art, the legacy of storytelling, the legacy of theater, the legacy of humanity, right? Like in the grand scheme of things, how do we pass that on? How do we take care of generations that come after us? And I think one of those ways is by teaching and by sharing and by giving. That same generous spirit that we were just talking about is what I know it makes a difference in young people's lives. And that moment of seeing him say, you know what, I'm a college student, but it may not have a whole bunch of, disposable income, but I believe in this. I believe in this mission. I believe in this work. I believe in the commitment, and I want to partner with you so that the next generation of drama club students can come. That is something that I'm looking forward to building out sustainably, so that for many, many years, even when I'm gone, but for many, many years, young people will be able to find a home, an artistic home at the Rep.
I love that. I know I'm looking like a bobblehead because I can't stop nodding in agreement with everything that you're saying. That's a beautiful story. And since you already plugged it, I have to finish out your shameless plug for the Club Rep Pass for 35 and unders. It's a really good deal for the Rep. Unlimited tickets.
Unlimited tickets.
So you spoke to finding ways through your position here, how you're excited to highlight young people's voices. And you've actually already launched a program that is about highlighting young people's voices. Can you talk to us about the Wise Right program and the digital sharing that's coming up?
Oh, October the 2nd, everybody. Mark your calendars, 6 p.m. We will be premiering, I should say. We'll be premiering the 24th annual Wise Right program. And this has been our kind of like flagship program for a really, really long time. And what we were able to do amidst the pandemic, and even before I got here, there was a statewide call for young folks to submit plays, 10-minute plays, short plays, one-act plays. we were able to receive all of that good work, and we are highlighting some of those amazing pieces. We're really, really excited. We had a really great rehearsal process. You'll get to meet our playwrights. You'll get to see their face and hear their voice. You'll learn a little bit about their inspiration, and you'll have a really, really fun night. I think the plays are really imaginative, really creative. And I think that there'll be a lot of laughter and a lot of joy. So we definitely want you to come and watch them, be a part of community with us that evening, October the 2nd, 6 p.m. You can find it on our website. You can go to the webpage, that the link will be up, and I'm sure we'll be able to stream in some other ways too. But we're looking forward to it. And we're also really excited about the fact that everyone that was a part of this is a local artist. So we're definitely investing in the local ecology of our artists. It's incredibly important to keep them working and engaged and connected. And so there may still be some faces that are familiar to you all. So we're looking forward to a really, really great evening of some theater.
Awesome. I can't wait to see them and to share them, these young writers who have been counseled by you and your incredible team on not on necessarily adjusting their plays, but just on how to share their voices and how to give them tools that can get across anything that they want to share at this time, which is really powerful. And
yeah,
I was lucky to be a part of it, and I'm just so grateful to you. And I can't wait to see what happens in the future, because I know that you will be continuing to find broader and deeper ways to engage young people in writing and using their voices.
Yes, we are in the midst of that work even now. We're really, really excited, and using this time, we're reframing it. We're not thinking about it as a challenge. We're looking at this really as an opportunity to think about the future of all of our programs and how we can best serve our young people and continue to be that resource.
Excellent. Well, I have one last question for you before our 60-second question round.
Oh boy.
And also, if anyone watching has any questions for Adena, please feel free to put those in the chat or in the comments on YouTube or Facebook, and we can answer those as well. This doesn't have to be specific to the rep, but in terms of the theater industry, if you could snap your fingers and magically change one thing about our industry overnight, what would you change?
Oh gosh. This is a family show, right? I would change. This is so selfish. So here I'll get it. This is super, super selfish. I would change two things. One is cultural and one is practical. The culture of exclusion that I feel is practiced against parents, and to help foster that change, every theater would have to have a designated space that is called either the nursery or the child care center, or or something where moms and dads can show up to work and do their work, and there be a designated space for their children to also come and play with mom and dad. I think that is so important. I will say that when I was a young mom, I'm still a young mom, but when I was an even younger mom, I really felt like the thing that I loved, which was theater, had pushed me away because I made a decision to have a family. And it should not be that way. And I'm so excited to see more and more folks having children, bringing their children. Hannah Sharif, she always talks about her oldest child coming to tech rehearsals and sleeping on the cot. That type of culture is something that I believe really needs to change. There's so many talented artists who feel like they don't have a choice because they've decided to have a family. And so they have to, in some way, forego their artistry so that they could be a mom, so that they could be a dad, so they can be a caregiver. And that's something that we definitely need to change.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I share your wish, and I wish it not just for the theater industry, but I think that's true across industries that our work culture in this country isn't structured around supporting parenthood in so many ways. And yet it could be. We could reimagine it.
I
I honestly
agree.
don't even know how people handle having a dog and having a job in the theater, nonetheless. I'm
Well,
serious.
I'm coming from a space in the world where we actually had policies for pets and for children, like bring everybody to work. So the dogs, the cats, the children, everybody can come. And as long as your coworkers are in agreement, and it's a shared space and a shared agreement, then it's totally fine. So I think that it needs to happen. And as I say this, my son is walking in.
I love that. I love that. Awesome. So you said there were two things. One was a practical thing and one was a cultural thing?
Yep. So just like the culture, same though, but like actually building nursery space, or having a designated space, but the spirit of really making sure that the workplace is inviting for children is incredibly important. And maybe it is a policy. Maybe it is, putting in writing that they are welcome here. Because traditionally, historically, they're not. We don't even often unless it's a TYA show, or if it's a TYA theater, we don't really open our doors to children. And so we find ourselves in situations where we literally have generational gaps in our audience base because we forgot to invest in the next generation. So I think maybe it's just a mindset, as well as building nurseries. So
Yeah,
those two things I think work in tandem.
I agree. Yeah, that's beautiful. And it's true. I mean, I was so lucky to be going to see plays when I was a young person, but I was usually alone. And then the next youngest person was my father, who I was there with, who's about 40 years older than me. You know?
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
So I love that. And while we're on that, I'd actually love to just ask you, we talked about your journey, your professional journey, and how you got invested in the theater and rose through the ranks to become the thought leader that you are now in the learning and community engagement areas. But would you tell us a little bit about your beautiful family? They've all moved here to St. Louis with you. You have this incredible household full of love and brilliance. So can you give us just a brief intro?
They are so much fun. They bring me so much joy. The eldest in the house, my husband Christian, he is fantastic. He is certainly my strength, and I look to him for so much encouragement. He is a trainer. He's a sports performance coach. He's also an entrepreneur. He's a motivational speaker. He's a juicer. He's just a really great dad. He does so much for community. He's an activist. He's just a busy guy. At some point he's probably going to run for like senator or something like that. He just got that kind of heart for people. And then we've got Layla, who is our firstborn. She's 12, and she goes to really excited about her. And one of the kind of benefits to moving out here was that she was able to go to a performing arts middle school. We don't have a ton of performing arts middle schools in Baltimore, but she was able to get into Grand Central, and she's studying dance there. She is, I would say I call her mini me because she is very much like me, almost to the point where it's kind of scary. Um, there are moments when I get frustrated with her, and it's because I see so much of me in her. Those are the things that I even get mad at myself about. So she is amazing. She's awesome. She's full of light. And then our oldest son is Christian Jr., and he is 9. He's brilliant. And he is by far the genius of the family. He's so smart, he doesn't know what to do with himself. He's full of energy, all boy, and it is a little scattered. But I think over time, as I get glimpses of what he will be like as a young man, and I'm like, he's going to be just fine. We just got to get through these crazy days. And then the baby, who is unanimously precious, is Christopher. He is 8. And it took some time for my other children to just agree with the fact that he's just cute. The older siblings, they kind of get frustrated with the favoritism. Sometimes they're like, Mom, how is it Christopher gets to do all of these things? And I think they now have resolved to like, yeah, he is kind of cute. So he's the baby and he knows it. And he is what we call him the athlete, because so Layla's the artist, Christian is the intellect, and Christopher is the athlete. He has had a ball in his hands since he was probably 2. I mean, from playing basketball to football, now he loves golf and tennis. He just loves to be active and run around. And if it's a ball, if it's anything with a ball, he's going to be a master at it. So they are full of fun and lots of energy in this house and lots of sound in this house. And they are adjusting really, really well. They love the community. They have even said to me, it's so peaceful and folks are so kind. So I'm thankful that they are settling in well with me and Dad.
That's so great to hear. That's what we want. We want to welcome folks to St. Louis to know how great it is here, and also to let St. Louis know how great it is to have all of you here, because clearly, even from those brief descriptions, I can tell what a fantastic contribution everyone in your family is to the community. And we're just so lucky that you're here. So
we're glad.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amelia.
Okay. You knew it was coming.
Oh, gosh.
60 seconds.
Oh, no.
What is this called? I have to learn the segment name. It's called Fun Facts in 60 Seconds.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a speed round of questions. They're easy, just to get to know more about you. Hopefully on the back end, our dear friend Ashton is putting 60 seconds on the clock for me. Okay, he is. Okay, ready? Set, go. What's your favorite color?
Turquoise.
What's your favorite food?
Anything Italian.
What's your favorite dessert food?
Oh, cupcakes.
Where have you found your favorite cupcakes in St. Louis yet?
Yes, and I'm struggling to remember the name of the shop. It's oh gosh, but it's in Maryland Heights, and her name is Yolanda, and I'm gonna remember the name soon.
Okay, love that. Puppies or kittens?
Puppies.
Last play you saw in person?
Oh, last play I saw in person. Oh goodness. In person. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank.
It's been ages.
It has been ages.
What was the last play you saw at all? Virtual too?
Black Like Me was the last reading.
That counts. You're flying.
Flying.
That was 60 seconds.
Oh no.
I learned a lot though. That's good. I have to admit to the viewers that before we started live, Adena was telling me about cupcakes, so I had to get those questions in there. Adena, it's been so good talking with you. Thank you for making the time to introduce yourself to the Rep family. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the work that you're doing for the Rep and for our community. And I look forward to our next chance to circle back to a conversation when our world has continued to grow and evolve, and when we can share some of the really exciting work that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Amelia. You are truly an incredible facilitator and host. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And thank you so much, St. Louis, for being so welcoming. And thank you for opening your door so that I can call this new city of mine home.
Yes. Shout out to all of you watching. Shout out to everybody who has supported the Rep's work particularly during this time. We're so grateful for all of you. We're so happy to find ways to keep connecting with you, even virtually. And we're going to continue flipping the script every other week so that you get to know members of the Rep staff and artisans and the incredible team who make all of our artistic work possible. So please look out for us week after next with another edition of Flippin' the Script. We'll see you then.